Hey everyone, this is AYBL Main again. I'm continuing my series of the top 5 albums for every year I've been alive. And now we've hit our 10th year and it's 1978. A bit of an odd year you're going to find is that music is starting to make that shift away from the traditional classic rock sounds and to the very poppy and new wave type stuff that is heading towards in the early 1980s. And you'll definitely see a change. Number 5 on my list is, or at least one of the 5, is Elvis Costello's "This Year's Model." Contains his hit song "Pump It Up," which you kind of hear on commercials and stuff from time to time, and also has "This Year's Girl," and also contains the Chelsea track, which is on the second side. I find all those very great tracks, very interesting music overall, and had to include it on here. Also on my top 5 is Bruce Springsteen's "Darkness on the Edge of Town." Really like some of the stuff on here. You know, obviously you can't be as great as Born to Run, and coming off of that would be very hard. But it does have, Prove It All Night and The Promised Land, some very good tracks on there. Second side especially is very strong, and I enjoyed it very much. And still, this is definitely one of the top 5 albums of that particular year. Also in the top 5 is Tom Waits' "Blue Valentine." I ran his discography, and what I find with Tom is that he's not afraid to kind of change things up a little bit. This one had very much a lot of blues, a lot of rock, a lot of jazz, kind of all mixed in. The lead-off track was for the West Side Story. That's the only track that wasn't written by Tom on here. Also had the track "Romeo is Bleeding." That's definitely worth checking out. So give it a spin there. One of the other albums that I had on my list of my top 5 for that one was "Some Girls" by the Rolling Stones. Probably my 4th favorite Rolling Stones album. I did appreciate the fact that it kind of got back to their roots a little bit more rock and roll, a little bit of splash of blues. Mick Jagger does a great job of mixing up his vocals. Keith Richards' guitar work is pretty good in it. I love the sleeve cover. It's fantastic. It's got a very interesting sleeve and album cover that does different things when you put it together. But it's a great album by the Stones and a good offering for them for sure. My number 1 album for 1978, though, was the Cars' debut album, The Cars. I always say what you can do is you can take the album cover, get a nice magic marker, write greatest hits on there in the fanciest way that you possibly can, and hand it to somebody and let them play it for the first time if they haven't heard it, and they'll absolutely believe you that that's their greatest hits. It's got so many great songs on there. My Best Friend's Girl, Just What I Needed, Let the Good Times Roll, all great tracks. It is a fantastic debut album, maybe one of the strongest debut albums of all time for any artist. I have a few others that I would probably have ahead of it, but not many. As for the album that everybody said I would love, but I actually didn't, this one was pretty easy. It's Van Halen's debut album, Van Halen. Just not a Van Halen fan overall. I did like 1984 okay of the material. I've always found their style, particularly with David Lee Roth, a little over the top, a little grandiose, a little too show-offish, if that's even a word that I can use in this case. Just never really enjoyed it. I can't say really why. I obviously have heard it enough, throughout my youth and everything, and maybe overexposure played a part in it, but I always look back on this album as something that really wasn't what everybody said it was. It's just not a very strong album to me. So that's my take for 1978, guys. I'm looking forward to hitting 1979 as we make that spin into the early 80s, and I hope you guys are doing great. Take it easy.